Hey guys, welcome to the channel. This is my 2024 BMW M2, and what we have installed is the M2CS DME and transmission flash. In this video, we're going to do a little POV drive. We're going to get some updated impressions on the tune, also some updated impressions on the car and how it's been. I've actually just crossed over 14,000 miles, believe it or not. In October, it'll be 2 years of owning this car. I'll do a 2-year owner's review once that time comes, but it's been a great car. Give you guys a little walk around. This is Toronto red metallic, and aside from the M2CS DME flash and a single non-resonated mid-pipe, there's nothing else done to this car. Alright, so I'm going to start it up here. Has a little bit more of an aggressive startup with the CS DME flash, so that's definitely something I noticed. And yeah, I just love driving this car. I mentioned it several times if you guys have seen my videos before, but there's just so much room in here. It feels so nice. Everything just is laid out correctly, in my opinion. Yes, your climate controls are on the screen, but I just put it on 72 degrees auto with the AC on, and don't worry about it. And then in the winter months, I just have it on 72 auto without the AC on. So it's very simple. I don't really have to mess around with the climate controls. Oh. All right. So my car is about a $70,000 sticker price. So I do have quite a few options. I have the heads-up display. I don't know if you guys can see it, but I have the heads-up display. I got the carbon interior that gives you the upgraded paddles. Parking assistant package, which gives you like the side parking sensors, the backup assistant, and then the park itself feature. Remote start, heated steering wheel. On the M2, there's a lot of like a la carte options. And I do have a lot of those a la carte options. The M carbon roof is a big one. The only thing this car doesn't have is, there's like a few little things. It's like the wireless charger, which I don't care about anyway because they never really work right. So it doesn't have the wireless charger. Adaptive cruise would be nice. And then obviously that $10,000 carbon package that also includes the carbon roof, but I'm not really too concerned about that. But let's talk about this M2CS DME flash. So for one, it has a lot of power, and it's definitely noticeable power. So like I mentioned in my first impressions video, I was a little worried that since my car was such a good factory example, that the tune would not add much to my specific car, right? But it turns out that the tune did add about 50 wheel horsepower, and it's dyno proven. You guys can check out my dyno video, because I'm looking at the difference, not necessarily the number itself. Maybe that dyno reads like 10-15 horsepower too high, but I'm looking at the difference, and the difference is about 50 wheel horsepower difference. So the tune did amazing. 50 wheel horsepower is definitely something you can notice, definitely something that will make a difference in races, and I've already posted a few races on this car and it does absolutely amazing. So very happy with the tune so far. Like, I love the more aggressive startup, and this transmission shifts very, very smooth. I don't really notice a difference with how like fast it shifts. I don't really notice too big of a difference from stock, but one thing I do notice is on the stock transmission mapping, if you have it in sequential, which is manual mode, and you have it on level 3, when you're downshifting, it'll downshift very aggressive, which it still does with the CS flash. But on the stock tune, when you downshift into first gear, it'd be really aggressive, and it would kind of lurch you a little bit when you go into first gear. With the CS flash, even downshifting into first gear is smooth. Now I don't know if that means that it's less aggressive or if that just means that it's more smooth and better tuned, but you can downshift down into first gear in the third shift setting with the CS flash, and it doesn't buck the car that much. So that is one little difference I notice. I notice all the little tiny differences. Obviously I've driven the car on the stock tune for probably like what, 13,000 miles, 13,500 miles. So I am very familiar with how it performs and how it behaves and under certain conditions and everything. I have noticed this tune does like the cooler temps. Stock, didn't really affect it that much when it was hot. It still performed great. But with the tune, I have noticed that it likes the cooler temps. One thing I do want to test out is if putting a few gallons of E85 in makes a difference. Because on B58 cars, if you put a few gallons of E85 in, it makes the car much faster, even on the stock tune. And then on RS3s, it also makes a big difference if you put a little bit of E85 in on a stock tune. So I'm curious to see if with this new CS Flash, if it makes a difference. Stock, it didn't make a difference. I put E30 in on this car stock and it makes no difference. It still performed the same. So I'm curious to see if E30 makes a difference on this tune. But it shifts so smooth, like you don't even notice the transmission shifting, and that's what I love about it. I did have this CSL transmission tune for a little bit, the M4 CSL trans tune, and that was just way too aggressive for my liking. The car wasn't very enjoyable to just cruise around anymore. It felt like it was on the third shift setting like all the time, and it was just way too much. So this is perfect, the CS trans tune. I'm really impressed with it. We can get on a little bit here, just little taste. And traction was cutting it, and it was still taking off pretty fast. That was about like half throttle. And I have noticed the car has a lot more torque. So I don't know if you guys saw it, but I reviewed a manual M2, and come find out later that manual M2 actually had a Dynon piggyback. I didn't know it had a Dynon piggyback tune on it. It felt fast, you know, in the upper RPMs, but the manual, I'm telling you guys, like, and nothing against the people that own the manual. Like, the manual's cool if that's what you like. I get it, you know, it's like the last manual M car. It's the closest you can get to like the E46 M3 manual, whatever. But guys, this car is just so much better suited with the automatic, and the car never feels like it doesn't have torque. Like in my RS3, that was an automatic car, but the car felt like it didn't have low end torque. This car with the automatic feels like it has all the torque in the world, even at lower RPMs, because, you know, it can downshift and get into boost really fast and everything. The manual feels sluggish down low. It feels really sluggish, and the shifter was kind of crappy, so I just didn't really like it that much. But with the automatic, this car is just a whole nother animal. Oh, and of course we get to a stoplight. At least we get to test out the brakes. The brakes are good. Of course, a stoplight, and there's like no one here either. And then a little less on the tune and more on the car itself. The car has been amazing. By the way, I took it in for service. So since on all new BMWs you get 3 years, 36,000 miles of complimentary maintenance. So I'm still under that, obviously. And I took it in for the maintenance. They did the oil change and everything. I told them not to touch the software or mess around with doing any updates or anything like that, because it actually does have a recall to update the DME. So it's kind of ironic that they have a recall for that, because if they update the DME, it's going to wipe out my M2CS Flash. So I told them, I said, I don't want to do the recall. Don't mess around with the software. Just do the oil change and whatever is included in the, you know, the maintenance, you know, whether it be filling up the tires or whatever it may be. But don't mess around with the, you know, the computer. And they're like, no problem. They didn't mess around with the computer. They didn't say that my warranty's voided or something popped up and the car's flashed or anything like that. You know, now granted, I brought it in for oil change, not for like an engine problem. That's one thing, by the way, this car's never had any problems. The brakes are squeaky, but that's normal for this car. But it's had no problems. I haven't had a check engine light pop up. I haven't had the car just not work or something happen or not start. Like, it's been perfect. You know, obviously I only have 14,000 miles. It's not like a high mileage car, but the car hasn't had any problems, and I really like that. That's funny, in just the normal comfort mode, or efficient they call it, the traction cuts so much of the power. I mean, it keeps you safe so the car's not spinning, but you can literally floor it and it'll accelerate like not that fast if it detects it's losing traction. Which is probably a good thing, maybe for people that are, you know, they don't want to spin out or whatever. But I do wish the traction control was a little bit more lenient. I think if I'm in MDM mode, it will be. So I put in MDM. Let's see if it lets me get a little sideways on this corner. It'll probably hook up, honestly. Like these tires grip pretty good. It moves. Definitely a little bit more lenient in MDM mode, that's for sure. Oh, this car is so fun. Oh my goodness. And then another thing too that I love, like, I can't compliment this transmission enough, and I'm not trying to say it in comparison to the manual. I just love this transmission. Like, the paddle shifters are nice and fast. It has a gear for every situation. You know, no matter what roll I'm doing, whether it be a 50 roll, a 60 roll, a 30 roll, the gearing is super nice. And then when you're on the highway, it's in 8th gear at 80 miles an hour, and you're only turning like 2,000 RPM, and the car gets like decent gas mileage. No, it's not B58 gas mileage. It's not going to get in the 30s and stuff like that, but you might be able to get upper 20s realistically, like mid upper 20s, which is pretty impressive for, in this case, a 530 or 540, maybe even 550 wheel horsepower car. And I know to put down 558 wheel on the dyno, but the dyno might read a little high, I don't know. But let's just say, for safe numbers, 540 wheel horsepower. So 540 wheel horsepower car, getting upper 30s on the highway, RPMs turning at 2,000, no noise and no vibrations, and I guess NVH, noise, vibration, and harshness. The car just is so smooth. Everything is just so nice about it. And you know, when I really think about it, like obviously I'm used to owning this car now, but when I really think about it, I could only dream of owning a car like this when I was younger. My first car, if you guys have watched my channel for a really long time, was a Mustang EcoBoost. I made some videos on it, and that was absolutely incredible for the time. Like, you know, being a first car, Mustang EcoBoost, brand new, you know, I was super thankful and super grateful for that car, but I never could imagine I could have owned something like this. You know, this is crazy. This is literally a full-on M car, brand new. I bought it brand new, and it's mine. Oh, I love it. And then it handles amazing too. Go around these corners here. Gotta watch out for the feta alleys. Just runs so good. And it's hard to believe what this car can do versus some modded cars. So if you guys have seen my most recent video, like I don't know when this one's coming out, but I raced an Audi RS3 full bolt-on E85 on a off-the-shelf tune. And the fact that this car, it has a stock M2CS DME flash, and it's the same speed, if not a little bit faster than a full bolt-on E85 RS3 is insane. Because I had a Mustang GT, which was very fast for the time. That was after, you know, I traded in the EcoBoost for the GT. And it's still fast to this day. I mean, Mustang GT is a solid car, right? Like, I'd say it's the benchmark for the cars in that 400 to 500 horsepower range. But the fact that I have a car now that's just so nice inside, has such a smooth transmission, nice interior, you know, more luxurious, and it's faster without even having to really do anything is crazy. So these conditions are not perfect. It's still 88 degrees outside, but it's better than it being 110 degrees outside. So we'll see what the car does. I'm thinking it'll do, depending on traction, obviously this road's a little dirty, I think it'll do like an 11.8 at 125 is my guess with the conditions right now. We'll turn off the AC, see if that makes a difference. These Michelins are expensive, so. Something very, very small to clean off the tires. All right, we got our draggy ready. Up decent that time. It wasn't bad. Gotta make sure this thing doesn't fly off in this corner. Yeah, it hooked up pretty good that time. Like, you can definitely tell it's cutting a little bit of power from a dig, but all right. We did 11.7 at 126.7, so we almost did 127 miles an hour in the quarter. This car's so impressive, guys. 11.7 at 126.7. Now, actually, I want to try one more thing. I want to try doing it with just brake torquing and not using launch control. 6130 was 8.29. Also very impressive given the conditions. We're at 5K DA, 86 degrees, and 2,500 feet of elevation. I never could have thought that I would own a car that's still kind of like factory tuned, that does upper 120s in the quarter. Like, that's pretty incredible. So growing up, when I was younger, which, you know, I'm still young, obviously I'm only 24, but when I was younger, the cars that were really cool coming out were like the Corvette ZR1, you know, like the 09 ZR1, the Camaro SS, you know, then they came out the ZL1 in like 2013, and the GT500 was so fast in 2013, you know, 662 horsepower. This car is most likely, like, if someone owns one, they'd like to test it in their stock. This car is most likely faster than the GT500, the 662 horsepower version. I know for sure it's faster than the 2013 ZL1. The ZR1 Corvette's probably still faster. That one's probably still faster. I mean, it is still a Corvette. And like all these cars that were just like I could only imagine owning, like when I was younger. I was more of an American muscle kind of guy. This car is literally just as fast, if not faster than some of them. Such a smooth trans. Sounds good with just the single mid-pipe, nothing crazy. It's not raspy and annoying. Okay, so I'm gonna go to traction completely off. So we're gonna go down to our M traction control and we're gonna turn it all the way off. Okay, there we go. So now we got that off. And then draggy's ready. Now we're gonna go down here, we're gonna put it in drive so that it's in automatic mode. One downside to rear wheel drive obviously is there we go. Just a little baby one. And then we're gonna try it in automatic mode and brake torquing it myself. Maybe that will be better. Okay, here we go. Okay. That that didn't work. And I let off because if I would have stayed in it, the car might have whooped at one of those numbers. So definitely definitely got to be careful. So that spun like through first, second, and third. Like I could feel it spinning. Maybe launch control is the easiest. I mean, I tried to do it like brake torque it myself, but maybe launch control knows what it's doing, you know? Oh, okay. So it's 1178 at 125.95. So it's a little bit slower. Interesting. We did a 2.09 60 foot. Let's see what we did on the, which is horrible, by the way. I'm well aware that's horrible. I'm still in stock tires. Let's see what we did before. Before we did a 2.19 60 foot. So my 60 foot was actually better on the one I didn't use the launch control. And I thought it would be because it kind of bogs a little bit when you use the launch control. There's so much torque. This car moves. But yeah, guys, like if you're thinking of doing the CS flash on your car, 100% recommend, unless you're nervous on the off chance that something happens to where it'll like void your warranty or your engine will explode and the dealer won't honor it. Like if you're super duper duper scared about voiding your warranty, I wouldn't do it at all because there's no real 100% answer that it doesn't void the warranty. No one really knows. But I don't think it would void the warranty because it's factory software, right? And the engine's already made to do this. I did have someone in my comments a while, or not a while back, but someone mentioned, they're like, hey, do you think this will wear like the components down? Do you think that, you know, it'll be bad for the car long term, whatever? My answer to that was no. I mean, obviously if the car makes less power, then it puts less strain on the components, but this car is already made to do that. the M4 X-Drive for 2026 or 2025 has 523 horsepower. And the M4 is the same car underneath. They have the same components. The M4 is a little bit longer, yes, but it has the same components, the same engine, the same transmission, the same differential. So that car comes from the factory with that. So why would it matter that it's in this car? Because it's the same stuff underneath. So the car is already made for this power. And it's not like we're doing 700 wheel horsepower with like a custom E50 tune. We're doing like 540 wheel horsepower. So, you know, do what you want with that. I think the car will be perfectly fine long term with this. Now, I do plan on keeping this car long term. There are talks of an M2 X-Drive coming out for like being in production for August of 2026, probably as a 2027 model year. That is something that piqued my interest because I do like being able to launch fast from a dig as well. But we'll see, because I love this car. It performs so well. And if I get a 2027, if they didn't really change anything, it'll be like me buying the same exact car just like 3 or 4 years later. So I kind of like, you know, I'm kind of better off just keeping mine at that point. But we'll see. You never know what's to happen in the future. As of right now, I don't want to buy any cars. I'm really happy with the cars I have now. My Tesla lease will be up in about a year. So once that's up, I'll be in the market for another daily. But it might be another Tesla because the Tesla is probably the best daily I've had so far. But we'll see. It could be a Model 3 Performance. It could be a Model S if I drive it and really like it. I've driven a Model S Plaid and it's like too fast for what I need, especially in a daily driver. I don't really need a car that fast, and it's so big and bulky and it's not as fun to drive. And the yoke steering wheel is horrible. Now the normal steering wheel will probably drive a lot better, but I was not having any fun driving the yoke steering wheel and the one that I had for 3 days. And then we'll do one more 60 roll because this car pulls hard on a 60 roll. 60 roll is like, this car's like thing. Goodness. And it just bangs off those shifts too. 60 roll feels so nice. And then that 3rd to 4th gear transition, like if you guys have driven a G80 or G82, G87, whatever, that 3rd to 4th, it just seems like it gets more power. Like it just keeps pulling. Oh, I love this car. Well, like I said, if you enjoyed the video, give it a like and subscribe. Share your thoughts in the comments below, and I will see you in the next one.